I don't know. Something happened.
There's some...
I've got a bad feeling about that now that you said that. Yeah, it makes sense.
Hi, I'm Sydney. Welcome to the Forbidden Cities, a Keeper of the Lost Cities podcast where Jaycie and I talk about Keeper of the Lost Cities books, theories, characters, ships, and more.
Sorry, that was a whole
Can we see the
side
counselors in school together?
The counselors as children.
As children.
Can you imagine young Kendrick? It's just Keith. Just Keith
Yeah.
with red hair.
Keith with red hair and less family issues, probably.
Yeah, probably.
Mm-hmm.
So 325. Yes. Sophie's like, what do you know about Prentice? Oh, let me rewind a little bit.
Okay.
So this is still Sophie talking to Tiergan.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, that's not the only reason you're special, believe me. Have you remembered anything else since the tribunal? Oh, no, hold on, okay. Sorry,
Huh?
Okay.
Oh, no.
So
We only have
still,
one book right now, so I have no idea what she's reading.
They're in the Forbidden Cities. Do you miss your human life? Tiergan asked. She thought about the headaches, the fear of discovery, how out of place she always felt, and opened her mouth to
I've
say
read this
no.
scene so many times.
But sometimes I miss my family, slipped out instead. His expression softened. That's good, Sophie. You of all people should never forget where you came from. If you ever need reminding, let me know and I'll bring you here. She nodded. Do you wonder why you were hidden with humans? Her mind darted unwillingly to Prentice. My real parents must have wanted to get rid of me, she whispered.
Mm-hmm.
If our theory is right,
Yeah.
he is her real parents.
Okay.
One of them. He closed his eyes and pain seeped into his features. Trust me, Sophie. No one got rid of you. Don't you know how special you are? I just need a whole second wall. That's a whole other level of suspicion. Pain seeps into his features?
Yeah.
That's so Orly-esque.
And see, we thought it was just because Forkle does something similar. A little.
He's more just like, Sophie, you can't know who your parents are. Stop asking questions.
Uh-huh.
Pain seeped into his features. He closed his eyes, and I'm gonna cry. Don't let me cry. I cried 3 times in the movie last night. Actually 4. I don't need to do that again.
It's hot in here. Oh my goodness.
Don't you know how special you are? Yeah, special enough to have secret information stored in my brain without my permission, she mumbled, which is probably why Prentice got rid of her.
He's like,
who would want to freak as a daughter? Or maybe he was the one who planted the information. Her hands clenched into fists. That's not the only reason you're special, believe me. Tiergan cleared the strain out of his voice. Have you remembered anything else since the tribunal? Oh, he changed the subject.
See, I always thought that was super sus, but like in a sweet, like, oh, I like Tiergan. But at the same time...
So sweet, Okay, I'm firmly like, not only am I like Tiergan Sophie's dad, but I'm like, Tiergan's so nice. Sophie doesn't deserve Tiergan. Sophie doesn't deserve Keith. Sophie doesn't deserve Orly. Sophie doesn't deserve any of them. And remember at the end of Legacy, she's like, yeah, she's done looking for her biological parents. She hopes she never found out who her dad was. He wasn't worth learning who it was anyway. He was probably awful.
I bet it is Tiergan and I'm angry.
That scene. My real parents, not the scene, but the line. My real parents must have wanted to get rid of me, she whispered. He closed his eyes.
Why didn't we think about this?
Seeped into his features.
I'm so mad.
I've never reread this before.
I've reread this so many times, but I just skim it. I just am like, oh, look, they're talking because he's on the Black Swan. Ha ha. Ugh.
Did the registry pendants record audio?
No. Sorry, I was spinning around on this chair.
Because how do they know about the Dex kiss?
Huh?
The registry pendants record audio.
No, they don't.
How do they know
That's
about
creepy.
the Dex kiss?
I don't know, but I don't think they do. Good question. I think they could just find things out.
They were inside,
know.
so not the dwarves.
They're not listening to everything, or otherwise they would know. They would know about Alvar. No, they can't tune in. They would know about Alvar. They would know about everyone. That would be tyranny.
Alvar scrambled the registry pendant. Well, Orly said, like, we don't want to monitor registry pendants if we don't have to, but whenever people are being suspicious, we look into them.
They don't listen to every conversation. There are lots of conversations around registry pendants.
So they don't always, like, they aren't always looking at it, but if they're concerned about one citizen, they can track it. Because I remember whenever they were debating the circuit.
They can track where they go, but I promise they're not recording audio. I promise. They know that some other way, but it's gossip.
That?
It's gossip.
How do they count? It's...
They haven't... They
They have an infant.
Yeah. About...
To be honest, it's like, all right, everyone, listen.
Also, I think it's also just Shannon adding something fun. But no, it's not recording audio. I bet 100%. That would be crazy. You can't. Remember with our book, the whole thing where we had to cut out cameras?
Yeah.
Because cameras are so hard to write around.
It's so, yeah. Anyway, he said, that's not the only reason you're special. Have you remembered anything else since the tribunal? She watched an ant crawl across the dirty pavement. I understand if you aren't ready to talk about it, but don't be afraid to explore your memories. They might be the only way to understand who you really are. What if I'm someone bad? She whispered, putting words to the fear that had consumed her since yesterday. I can assure you you're not, he promised. She shook her head, refusing to believe him. What do you know about Prentice? Tiergan shifted in his seat. Oh, he's sus about the Black Swan, too. I know that's classified information, but I think I deserve to know who he was. He was my father, wasn't he? Tiergan sucked in a breath. Of course not. Why would you think that? You thought Lady Cadence was your mother?
Wait, I've noticed that before, and I don't know if I was... No,
that's so funny, because that's Orly. You thought Lady Cadence was your mother?
No, okay, I've read this scene before and thought about that before.
And Bront, in front of Orly. She was like, yeah, you're my father, aren't you? Oh, no.
Okay. I've done this before. Okay, I feel a little better about myself because I know I've thought that before reading that. My pride is hurt.
He was a keeper and he was exiled because of me. It's not hard to put the pieces together. Sophie, look at me, Tiergan said, waiting until she did. Prentice was exiled because he was hiding your existence, not because he was responsible for it.
He, overshares there about the Black Swan.
He's like...
He does it more in a second, too, I think.
That was my note, by the way. He's like, don't kill me, Forkle.
Because he hesitates to say something.
Yeah, what do you mean? He hesitated, and she could tell he was warring with himself, deciding how much to say. He sighed and looked away. When he spoke, his words were hurried, like he was forcing them out before he could change his mind. Prentice was a keeper for a group called the Black Swan, and the information he was hiding was you. Where to find you. I'd warned Prentice there would be consequences for helping the Black Swan, but he didn't listen. And when he was captured, he sacrificed his sanity to keep you hidden. Now he lives in exile, his mind is shattered, a useless mess. Please don't kill me, Mr. Forkle, whenever I see Anyway.
He is her dad.
I know. I'm so happy. He's so nice to her. It's the least weird choice too.
Yes, it's so obvious. Why do I overcomplicate things every time? Anyway.
His reaction. They wanted to get rid of me, and then the pain
I mean, it's the same thing she does with Orly. I wonder if she finds out that it's him, if she's gonna be quicker to forgive, because she's like, you both. Okay, fine.
She's like, okay, you worked with the Black Swan, you didn't let them put the restrictor on me. She'll also be like, you've ignored me ever since I came here. And he's like, I mentored you? Well, you lied to me. Yeah, that was because it was illegal. I mean, if you want me to, I'll go turn myself into the council. I'll just be exiled. He's not going to say that. He's so nice to her. He's so suspicious in the next two also.
That's, Wiley's his adopted son.
So
that's
basically her brother.
Yeah. That's cute.
Yeah, that's going to be sweet. Oh, no, but Sophie's whole you lied to me thing, what did you want them to do? Turn themselves into the counselors, get exiled? You got your good luck on your own. Okay, think about it.
She's half INFP. I don't know. Anyway.
If Orly had turned herself into the council, admitted that she was Sophie's mom, told Sophie would have told people, not realizing...
Sophie wouldn't do that.
She wouldn't have realized yet. Think about it. If in the first scene, in front of Bront and Kenrick, she had revealed it, because that's what Sophie wanted. She's like, you've lied every time you see me, and Orly's like, no, I couldn't tell anyone. And Sophie's like, no, because you couldn't risk your position on the council. But say Orly had left the council and told everyone, she would have been exiled for breaking the law, because that was illegal, what she did. And so... I
don't know where you're going with this.
That means that Orly would have been removed from the council. The most likely counselor was Lena. So then the only person who would have continually fought for Sophie on the council would have been Kenrick.
Yeah.
That would have changed the balance of the council, because Alina was firmly against Sophie from the time she became the counselor.
Where are we going with this? I'm so lost.
Basically...
What's your point?
Once Kenrick died, that would have meant... I guess Leto could have been elected. But
where are you going with this? I'm so lost.
The balance in the council would have shifted. There wouldn't have been people to argue for Sophie. A lot of the times in the first 3 books, whenever there's kind of silence,
it would have worked
for Sophie.
Clearly, logically, we know this.
Not to mention the fact that if it was revealed that one of her parents was a counselor who had broken the law like that, Sophie would have been cast under a lot more suspicion. Yeah. A lot less of the counselors would have trusted her.
Okay, Jaycie, I think everybody knows this.
And the series would have been over a lot sooner.
Yes.
All I'm doing is ranting because I'm mad at Sophie.
But I understand why Sophie's mad.
Just in case there's anyone who's listening who's on Sophie's side.
Okay. I understand why Sophie's mad, though, because she clearly, she can't do anything. She's like, I can't even tell Fitz, but she just needs someone to be mad at.
You're thinking about not even registering for the match. Yeah, Sophie complained to Orly about matchmaking.
Okay, calm down, Jaycie. Okay, I'm gonna 327. Basically, this part with Tiergan.
Oh yeah, I wrote.
I was like, no, I wrote down liar because he says, whatever the black swan is, it has nothing to do with who you are.
Who else says that to her?
He says, this is what he says exactly. Tiergan took her hands and waited for her to meet his eyes. The meet his eyes thing. Whatever the black swan is, it has nothing to do with who you are. When I look at you, I only see good. You came forward when you cheated. He acts like the black swan's bad here. But really,
because he doesn't.
I would take that literally. Like, oh yeah,
him,
the black swan has nothing to do with me.
They're forcing him to not, tell Sophie who he is.
Mm-hmm.
My next one
Jaycie's eating Oreos.
My next one is 345. So, do you have any before that?
Nope. Go ahead.
Oh, cool.
Maybe we shouldn't eat Oreos.
Maybe not. It might be a little loud.
Yeah. Because I was going to eat some Pringles, but...
it might just
snack
sound a little
afterwards
strange.
and watch Little Women.
Yeah. 345.
Good movie, by the way.
Yes. That's when it hit her. Because she glanced at Grady, hoping he'd defend her. He did solve
Wait, what's going on here?
It's right after she got back from, collecting a sample of fire, basically.
Uh-huh, okay.
And that's when it hit her. Fire. Death. Jolie. My brain. Fire. Death. Wait, no, not yet, guys. Don't rush that. And then, do you have one before 348?
Nope, mine's at 361.
Cool. So 348 is my next one. Oh yeah, this is where I said I've almost made up my mind that Tiergan's her dad because I was less decisive the first time through. If anyone else told me that, I would question their sanity. Tiergan chuckled, but with you, I'm learning anything is possible because she said that she thought she could, hear Iggy's thoughts. And Sophie blushed. You've really never heard of anyone reading animals' minds? No. I've also never heard of anyone transmitting across impossible distances or having an impenetrable mind.
I remember all of this so well.
Or tracking exact locations, so I can't say I'm surprised. In fact, I wonder, do you think you could transmit to an animal or track them? I guess I could try. His face lit up. Yes, you must. And if we can, I think that would qualify as passing your final exam. You'd pass me just like that? Sophie, you have the greatest telepathic abilities I've ever seen. I'm not sure I'm qualified to test you. Even if you can't do this, I'll find some other excuse to pass you. It'd be wrong not to. So where it's he realized that she could do something and it said his face lit up. Mm-hmm. It reminded me a lot of whenever Orly got really excited after she figured out how to control her enhancing. Mm-hmm. Just the phrasing of it. It's I forget the exact phrasing, but it's basically her face lit up. Or Orly was staring at her and smiling. It was the greatest scene. Sophie ruined it. Anyway, then my next note is 351.
I feel kind of bad for Sophie. If I were, you're don't feel bad for Sophie. It has nothing to do with that. Okay, if I were the Moonlark and everybody was praising me all the time about my abilities, I would be they're not even mine. Somebody gave me these. Mm-hmm. And I would have severe imposter syndrome. Mm-hmm. Especially, that. I would be this isn't me. I can't take credit for this. You guys gave this to me.
Right.
That's why it's nice that Tarek tells her, and he basically tells her, you're incredible without your powers, doesn't he?
Tarek or Tiergan?
Oh, Tiergan, sorry.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's just because she's because people planted stuff in my brain. He's that's not why you're special. And then he's
yeah, exactly.
Focus.
Uh-huh. And then Keith does that a lot, too. Mm-hmm. Fitz does it, I guess, but it doesn't seem that sincere.
Yeah, I mean, he's nice.
I wonder. I'm going to
Sometimes.
keep note of that because honestly...
His big thing is that they're cognates and that she's the most powerful elf the world has ever known.
Yeah, that's... I would be... And I mean, she kind of is like that.
Orly said, I'm going to see if I can remember, it's in Lodestar and I'd have to find it on my phone. But it's like I think we need people like you, people who aren't afraid to ask questions and stand up for what they know is right. So she just, it's kind of like what Braun said, like, I'm really proud of you because of the way you've conducted yourself, not because of your abilities.
Honestly, I can compare it to my art, which I'm not the greatest artist. I can...
Liar. She's lying.
I'm really not.
She's lying.
No, I'm not. Look at Annabelle's over there. It's amazing.
You're just as good.
Well, no, I'm not.
Yes.
I'm really not. Anyway, the point is...
I'm
mad? What'd you say?
I said I'm mad.
Okay, the point is... I've never taken lessons. And so... I guess when people compliment me about that, it's like, I can't help that I can draw. I think I get it from my grandpa, and I'm like, I just can't help it. It's not something I was trained in or worked really hard in. It comes really naturally. And so that's why it's a lot more meaningful to me when people compliment something I write than something I draw. Like, when they compliment something I draw, that's great. But, like, I feel like, I mean, it's not really, I didn't really... have much control over it.
You still put the effort into
well, still, but that's something I can relate that to.
I mean, that makes sense, but still, her art is amazing.
Yeah.
She did, our, well, this was more graphic design than art, but our main thing that's, like, says Forbidden Cities memes, and it's, like, the whole, she did that. The font is handwritten, so she did a good job.
Well, but...
no.
I want to redesign it. Okay.
I'm continuing. Okay, so 387... Oh, Marilla said people died. Alden nodded. Because of Everblaze. I've never really understood the concept, but apparently there's a way to sense cosmic energy in the atmosphere, and if you pull enough of it together, it will spark Everblaze. Fenton called it the fire of the sun on Earth. He was the only pyrokinetic who managed to ignite it. And reminding a little bit, Alden was also like, you saw some balefire. Fenton made it when he was one of the counselors. He retired when pyrokinesis was banned, which he fully supported after what happened. What happened was he accidentally killed his friends. After that, the council forbade anyone to learn pyrokinesis, and Fenton retired from the council because he couldn't serve without a special ability. But he stayed close friends with most of the counselors, and he's the only elf alive who can start Everblaze, so you can see why the counselors might have a hard time believing he's capable of this, this being burning the Forbidden Cities. So he's the only one who could have created Everblaze. So whenever Sophie proved that there was Everblaze in the Forbidden Cities, that's when Fenton could be arrested, was because then they were like, well, I guess it's Fenton then. And that's why he's, that's when they know he's guilty. But before
and then Shannon is brilliant and makes Brant show up. Anyway.
And, so before the bottling of the Everblaze, the counselors, it said most of the counselors were actually still friends with him. But we know that's not the case for all of them, because pre-book 1, Kenrick was interrogating him. Why was Kenrick interrogating him?
Is this your whole theory?
This is called Jaycee's giant theory on Kenrick and Fenton's connection, pre-Keeper. So it didn't make sense to me that, like, okay, it seemed like here that he was just a nice former counselor who lived in his... By
the way, I'm thinking of Tarek now. If Tarek's never seen, they both know they're talentless. Fenton gets kicked off because he's a pyrokinetic. And Tarek's like, Or if Fenton helped Tarek get up there by helping him fake his ability or something like that.
Because Tarek said that, he implied that he was pretty old. And Fenton's
just an idea.
Whoa. Okay, continuing my Kenrick theory. So he was interrogating Fenton beforehand, but it seemed like the rest of the council didn't know about it because Kenrick afterwards was like, I'm sorry, or I didn't know who else I could trust.
Where are you getting he was interrogating Fenton?
Unlocked memory.
Okay.
So
Wait, point it out to me, or I'll forget.
Like read it to you?
Yeah, just that's very specific part.
Okay. Well, there's a lot of things that I'm gonna pull in, but I'll read just this part for now. This is what I said earlier, by the way. Now for the part I've been dreading. Orly bit her lip as she removed one of the golden pins securing her circlet. The rational side of me knows I'll only feel a tiny prick, but I think you must get your needle phobia from me. I'm pretty sure everyone hates needles, Sophie argued, refusing to feel even the tiniest connection to Orly. I suppose. Unlocked blocked it. Kenrick was in the catch. And then he's like, for once, would you please just trust that I know what's best? Don't get to drag me into this and not tell me what's going on. Doesn't matter, your memory's going to be erased anyway. Well, the information in my catch should be a complete account of what we're up against, not whatever scattered pieces you feel like sharing. Otherwise, what useful will be if we need to reference it in the future. And he's like, okay, Aura, I need you to trust me. Can you feel how serious I am when I tell you it's absolutely essential to keep everything about Elysian fragmented? Elysian, which means that he was wanting to figure out Elysian, what that meant, from Fenton. So he suspected that Fenton was involved with whatever.
Wait, where does it say he interrogated Fenton?
In here in just a second.
Okay.
Projection of Orly found. That's not the word you had me ask Fenton about.
Ah.
I know, and I can't tell you what it means, so don't ask. I shouldn't have mentioned it at all, but I always say too much when I'm with you. And yet, here I stand, completely in the dark. Good, you'll be safer that way. Elysian doesn't feel familiar, said real Orly, who's not in the memory, and then projection of Kenrick started to pace. And Sophie's like, is it a place? So, I don't know if I've said this on the podcast before, but my best theory is that Elysian is the sort of human sanctuary. I think I've heard someone mention something like this before.
Possibly.
Bront actually mentioned that someone suggested that it was what some of the people who wanted to like stay in charge of the humans wanted was to put some of the humans in a human sanctuary. Remember the thing?
Yeah.
What was it? Criterion.
Criterion.
Remember how Fenton would ask Keith, if you could save one of these humans, who would you save? And then he would write it down in Criterion. Criterion is either the list of humans or the list of attributes about those humans of which humans should be saved. Because Lady Gisela had been preparing Keith for it. It was his legacy. So Fenton was the one in charge of that, by the way. I think Fenton's, the final thing he wants is to get control of the humans. And Lodestar, that's his whole speech. The problem is humans. What do you do with this species that destroys the earth while we hide away and we're the more powerful ones? He basically, and he's not afraid to burn the Forbidden Cities if he has to. So basically, he wants to kill off a majority of the humans, store the rest in the sanctuary, and have control of them so that they're not destroying the earth and the elves don't have to hide. That's my theory. I think Kenrick, for some reason, was onto him. He was like, no, something's not right here. I need something's weird about Fenton. So, he also said...
Why, though?
He said, Orly's like, you didn't even ask, she said, does Elysian have something to do with whatever Stellar Loon is? Kenrick sighed, I can't tell you that either. You can and you will. The tiny Orly stalked forward, grabbing his wrist. Grabbing his wrist. You don't get to show up at my door in the middle of the night, beg me to go with you to see a former counselor, who seemed particularly unstable, by the way. Ask him over and over about whatever Stellar Loon is, so the particularly unstable might have been why Kenrick was onto him.
Stellar Loon. Isn't Stellar Loon what they inject into...
Stellar Loon was part of, what happened to Keith.
As a child.
Yeah, whenever Lady Gisela was pregnant with him.
Yeah.
Ask him over and over about whatever Stellar Loon is, even after I told you he wasn't lying when he said he'd never heard of it, and then stand there, gray as a goal, because you slipped and said something about this mysterious Elysian.
So he's never heard of it. Either Fenton's never heard of it, or he's really good at hiding.
He's never heard of Stellar Loon.
Yeah,
but Stellar Loon was Gisela's plan. Stellar Loon wasn't his plan. Elysian was his plan. And so Kenrick says in a second, after he teases Orly, you already have helped, far more than you know. Fenton was calmer with you there, and that allowed me to finally slip past his guard. You breached his mind? Why? Kenrick backed away, resuming his pacing. The same reason I always breach someone's mind, but I didn't find the information I was looking for, in case you're wondering. That's probably good news, though. At least this mess is a little more contained than I feared. I just wish I could find the source of the leak. I'm getting tired of your vagueness and riddles.
Leak? What's he referencing?
So, I'm not sure. I know in the first few books, Sophie thought that the council had some sort of leak.
Yeah.
So what he was trying to do was get into Fenton's mind, obviously, to figure out what Elysian was, but we know Fenton's really, really good at hiding anything he doesn't want them to see. I wonder if in Everblaze, what Fenton was actually more focused on hiding wasn't the memory that Sophie found where she saw Brant. He was more focused on hiding Elysian and his never-seen involvement.
Maybe.
And so that's why he allows Sophie to see that, because he's an ancient mind. Ancient minds are supposed to be almost impenetrable. Even once you're in, they can still hide certain things, I'm sure. I mean, Sophie could probably find them eventually, but she barely even let Fitz work with her. And she was way less powerful then than she is now. Never Seen is where she got all the training with Fitz. So, Kenrick, what else did he do?
Okay, so, we get this straight.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, so there's nothing else about a leak?
Orly's just like, I'm tired of your vagueness and riddles.
Read that paragraph again about the leak that he says.
She said, why'd you breach his mind? He said, the same reason I always breach someone's mind, but I didn't find the information I was looking for, in case you're wondering. That's probably good news, though.
Do we know why he's breached anyone's mind before?
To find out what they were hiding. That's pretty much implied.
Mm-hmm. It's not... Who else? Whose mind has he breached before? Do we know?
I'm not 100% sure.
Okay.
He was a washer, though, so he had to find out the secrets that people were hiding.
I'm going with the leak thing and trying to figure out if he's talking about a person or something, or using it metaphorically.
Unless it's Tarek.
That's what I'm thinking, but I'm trying to figure out... Basically, can I see it?
Mm-hmm.
How he says... Where is it? Oh, yeah, I just wish I could find the source of the leak. Oh, no, he's talking about the mess. At least this mess is a little more contained than I'd feared. I just wish I could find the source of the leak. So there must be some information.
He thought the never seen was pretty big then, so it must have been really small then, or they were just good at hiding how big it was.
Or is he trying to hide something, a mess under the surface? Because he says, that's probably good news, so at least this mess is a little more contained than I'd feared. I just wish I could find the source of the leak. Like, how is this mess getting out there? I wonder if there's something in the past again with Elysian, and it had to be leaked from the council. And so that might be why he went defending, because it was a former counselor. Maybe Tarek is evil, and it was leaked through Tarek and Fenton. I don't know. I feel like it's something... Okay. I can't express what I'm trying to figure out.
Well, it wouldn't make sense if they actually leaked something, because why would the Lost Cities not know about it? Like, who would they leak to?
I'm wondering if the Never-Seen's plan isn't new. I mean, we already know that about... because there were... In the past, there were those elves, like 100 years ago, I think, who wanted to put... What are you looking for?
A thing in exile.
Okay. Who wanted to... You know, they talk about... I think it's Lodestar? Who wanted to put the humans in the sanctuary?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I'm wondering if it has to do with Forgotten Secrets again.
Nightfall, whenever they were like... Mm-hmm. Yeah, they wanted to...
And there's like a hidden mess that no one's supposed to know about, except Kenrick somehow knows, and he's trying to contain...
He's a washer. He had to know.
Yeah, he's trying to find where the source of the leak to wash it from people's minds if he can find it. Mm-hmm. Maybe.
He is saying in just a second, like, I'm counting down the days till I can have this mess cleared out of my mind. Like, it's not, whatever it is, it's not good. He doesn't like having to know it.
Uh-huh. So he knows something. He's not trying to... He's not trying to track down the Never-Seen or something.
What he's trying to do is make it where the Never-Seen aren't trying to kill off a bunch of humans. He's trying to make it where that's not even a theory in people's minds anymore.
Possibly. I bet there's a leak. He goes to Fenton, who's an ancient, right? I bet there's a leak that has something to do with a forgotten secret, and he's trying to contain the mess, wash it from people's minds, whoever's leaking this information, and then wash it from his. Mm-hmm. So I wonder if there's something to do with the human sanctuary, Elysian, a forgotten secret, and one of their catches. How many crystals are in Kenrick's catch?
7.
7? Maybe one of those.
Don't ask how I know that. Why do I know that?
How many are in Aurelius?
1.
Just 1? That one.
The 1, yeah.
Okay.
She's like...
So he left her a little clue.
She actually says in the beginning, she was like, of course, there's only 1. In the beginning, so he's like, there's just 1? Because she was thinking, Kenrick's had glitter 7. And
I'm thinking now, what's Stellar Loon?
Stellar Loon, I have a whole thing about it, but basically it's the thing that... Lady Gisela, I think it brings out the potential. Actually, I know all the things.
Potential.
1 second, I gotta find it. Okay, how do Keith's new ability work? This is an answer actually on the wiki that I typed out one time because someone was like, was it ever explained why Ethertane and Shadowflex would give someone a new ability? So, Ethertane is made from starlight and lightning, but it's super rare. Since it's not made every time there's a storm and a star is visible through the clouds, it's thought that it might be made from quintessence. Ethertane can be used to mind control shades, so it affects the mind and commands shadows, but it's made from light. Shadowflex is a 6th element.
Okay.
So that's all other teen.
Mm-hmm.
And that was, I think, was that the crown? Sorry, I'm getting a call. Was that the crown that Keith had on?
Okay. Yeah, something like that.
And then the next thing is shadow flex. Shadow flex is the 6th element, and it's really the opposite of quintessence. So, quintessence is like the purest form of light. Shadow flex is like the purest form of shadow. And then there's stellar loon, which in Unlocked we find Fenton didn't even know about. So that was Gisella's plan. Gisella used it as part of her pre-pregnancy treatment and says it brings out someone's full potential. So she married Cassius specifically so that she could have the chance of having a son who is both empathetic and a polyglot. She wanted the abilities to merge, and the mind control aspect of the ability comes from the other teen, which mind controls shadows. So she blasted him with shadows.
Polyglot is voice, empathy.
It's the emotional part of it. Other teen, the fact that he had the other teen crown on, and she made the shadows affect it, forced the mind control aspect to be a part of the ability. She had shadow flex and lightning happening at the same time. Shadow flex creates change. It makes change happen faster. The light was the opposite, so it made it, I think that it has something to do with it. I have it,
Okay, so Keith's ability is in play, but this plan is possible without Keith's ability because Fenton came up with it.
Fenton didn't want anything to do with Stellar Loon. Stellar Loon was Gisella's plan. Stellar Loon was just a distraction. Kenrick didn't tell Orly anything important because he didn't want her to find out because, like, you can see he's like, I don't even want to know this. This is awful.
So and Stellar Loon...
Orly said he always kept me out of anything he thought was too intense.
So Stellar Loon is Gisella's plan. Okay, so Gisela comes up with this different plan with humans that involves voice controlling, Keith.
She's like, let's not kill them. Let's just mind control them. That's more civilized.
Or is it like mind control them to die? I don't know.
I mean, I think it would just be mind control them so that they could still have control over humans.
Maybe.
I mean, Gisela, she's awful, but she doesn't want to kill people if that's not the first thing she has to do.
Well, but she does have like her superior race kind of thing.
Yeah, but she doesn't want to kill them. She just wants to be in charge. Because think about, like, Fenton. He's not afraid to kill people. He tried to kill Gisela off, basically. Those also the ogres, but that was Fenton's alliance with the ogres. He killed Kenrick. He killed, he was part of the
What does Gisela want?
Gisela wants to be important, because Cassius, that's why she liked Cassius, because she's like, yes, being important. She wants her child to have a great legacy. She wants to have control of the humans as much as the rest of the Never Seen does. So that's why there's kind of a power struggle right now between Fenton and Gisela, and it went back and forth between them a little bit.
I'm trying to figure out everything right now.
And then Vespera is more on Gisela's side. Gisela's sort of controlling Vespera, but Vespera's like, you can't control
There's the
me.
whole guilt thing that she talks about. Getting rid of your guilt.
Was that Gisela's? Yeah. The guilt is? Yeah. Vespera has also a lot of choices, so she's like, people's choices define them.
And then choices is what they use to...
That's their version of criterion. So they're two different...
So what was Kenrick? Elysian.
He was on to Fenton. He didn't know about Gisela.
Look up what Elysian is in Greek mythology. I've heard
it. It's the fields. It's where you go if you're a good person.
No, it's different than the fields. Look it up. Because the fields are where anyone goes if they die and they just wander around. Elysian is the special place for heroes. It's for those who are better, the important people.
Why am I looking this up?
Well, because I want to double check it and see if there's anything else to jog something else.
Relating to or characteristic of heaven or paradise. The place at the ends of the earth to which certain favored heroes were conveyed by the gods after death. That's why I don't think it's just a human holding place. I think it has something to do with superiority. I don't know if it's the elves or the humans, like the superior humans. I don't know which. But it's not just a holding place. That would be like if it was Asphodel, the fields of Asphodel, I would think that. But it has something to do with her whole higher important kind of thing, which could have to do with criterion. Interesting. I wonder if there will be elves that are...
I mean, she has basically a Nazi mindset where she's like...
Well, the Never Seen do, yeah. But whatever it is, the point was that Kenrick was on to Fenton, and Fenton knew Kenrick was on to him. And that it was implied that wasn't the first time that he had interrogated Fenton, because he said he had come before, and that with Orly it had been a lot easier because she had distracted him. And so that's probably the only two times mentioned that he's questioned Fenton. He could have been other times.
What if?
And he also took Orly's memory of the interrogation. And maybe
Random idea.
Catch.
What if humans have the potential to have special abilities?
Maybe.
I don't know. That was really random.
That has something to do with the sources, because Emery was like, the sources chose us to have the responsibility of special abilities, not any of the other species. So he was like, cool. Anyway, but Kenrick also took Orly's one other memory, because she said, she was like, Kenrick teased me about drinking 2 glasses of wine or something. I was like, okay, a couple things, Orly. First of all, 2 glasses of wine isn't going to make you unconscious. Second of all, there are some characters that could be like, yeah, they might get drunk. Not you. She's more principled than that. So she doesn't, the reason she's like, well, it could be possible, is because she doesn't want to believe Kenrick lied to her. But it seems that he did. Can I hold this? Sorry, I need to distract myself while I tell myself this. He definitely was hiding something. I don't think he was necessarily doing it for a bad reason. I think he was doing it because he really thought that he was protecting her, but he was illegal. So this is where they say that she's like, he was under oath never to wash the mind of anyone on the council, even if they asked him to. And I can't see him breaking that vow, especially with me. 10 pages later, he literally does. And she says, now that I think about it, there was another time when my mind felt like it does right now. I woke up in my sitting room, and Kenrick was there with someone. I can't remember who, which is strange. I know we weren't alone, but she rubbed this into her forehead like she was trying to massage the detail loose. I also have no memory of letting them in. But I remember Kenrick teasing me about drinking too much fizzleberry wine, and I had indulged in a second glass the night with dinner. Orly hun. So that seemed like a logical enough explanation at the time. But I do remember thinking that something about his smile felt off. I was just too tired to ask him about it. I can relate to that, though. I'm just like, I'm just too tired to question you right now. Just go on.
Yeah.
It's like trying to feel my way through fog, except there's nothing on the other side, if that makes sense. So he definitely has taken her memory of the interrogation with Fenton, because she said, I have no memory of that. Even this, she said, feels detached.
So what are we trying to figure out right now?
I'm just telling you all of the pieces of, just all the pieces. So she doesn't have the memory of the interrogation with Fenton, which could be in Kenrick's catch, and he is 7, which seems like a lot. He also took whatever memory that was, which wasn't the same thing, because we already saw what happened after the Fenton interrogation. That's the scene that is in her catch. So there was a third forgotten memory from her, and that had to do with whatever Kenrick and someone else was there. Who knows who that someone else was? I don't even, there's no hints.
It's random that I just thought of?
What?
That was so random. I wonder why you can see both O'Reilly and Kenrick, and I wonder if it merged their memories.
What?
Their 2 memories. Okay, the projection has O'Reilly, Kenrick. We should be seeing it from O'Reilly's perspective, just Kenrick. I wonder if you put both of their memories together.
Oh, yeah, maybe.
Anyway.
That would make sense, because...
And then wiped it from his mind. Anyway.
Right. Because he was the washer doing it. That makes sense. He wasn't supposed to. Anyway. So then... Sophie's like, do you think the other memory has something to do with Stellarlune or Elysian? Which probably one of them does. And he seemed very determined not to tell her what it was, because he was like, this is a mess, you don't want to know. And he almost, I'll get to that in a second, but he almost does tell her, but then he's like, I can't. So there are 3 memories. One of them was in her catch. The other 2 might be in his catch, along with, 5 other memories. Who knows one with his original interrogation with Fenton, probably, before he brought Orly. And then he's like, and she's like, this is such a classic Kenrick move. She's so mad at him. Sorry.
And then he knew enough to give her...
Sorry, you go first.
He knew enough to give her his catch before he died.
Okay, that's the thing. I was like...
And he made sure she had this information.
I was like, why on Earth did she have his catch? And then in Never Seen, Alan wonders the same thing. He's like, does that mean Kenrick suspected his life was in danger?
Well, not even that, but he wanted her to have the information that he collected.
Right. Well, he actually said give it to Sophie, and he gave her a way to open it, too. He told Orly how to open the catch. And why
would he want it to go to Sophie?
So, because he knew that the council was going to go crazy if something did happen. And Orly actually said he feared Sophie would need protection, and he was right. And Emery's like, okay, well, whatever, just don't give it to anyone. And Orly's like, do you really think he would have given it to her if he hadn't made a way for her to open it? He had, and she knew that, but she was also just trying to be like, you guys are in trouble. Also, she almost got kicked off the council, but, it was worth it. She didn't, so. But she's, at the end of this book, when Sophie gets Kenrick's catch back, she's like, I guess I'm going to have to work with Orly on how to open it.
How would Sophie figure out how to open it?
Kenrick told Orly how to, because she said right at the beginning, she's like, after she finishes this memory, she's like, well, that's not what I was expecting. And Sophie's like, yeah, that was a waste of time. And Orly's like, well, Kenrick probably has the other memories. His catch probably has the rest of the answers, so I can open it for you. He actually showed me how. It's much easier than mine. And Sophie was like...
And then they just didn't?
So, she doesn't have the catch yet. This is the beginning of Unlocked. She doesn't have it. It's in the storehouse. And Sophie, remember?
Oh, yeah. Okay, you're right.
Please tell me the anxiety I'm feeling from you isn't because you've lost it. And Sophie's like... something Never Seen happen. And Orly's like, why didn't you tell me this before? I forgot all about this. And Sophie says, like, oh, you weren't exactly easy to approach. And Orly was like,
so now they have it. Now they can open it. But it involves Sophie. Of course, or Riley would have just opened it.
Well,
she could have.
She wanted to give it to Sophie. Yeah. She knew Sophie would need protection.
But Sophie also has... It probably involves both of them.
Well, both of them are going to have to open it. Together. Yeah. Sophie's gonna be, again. I have a feeling this is just what I can see happening because of the way the plot has to advance. They're going to see the catch, something in it, because Kenrick wanted to protect her for some reason. Otherwise, he would have given her the memory. He was trying to very, very, very last. The very last thing that could happen was that she could open it, and only if she was completely desperate and needed the memory for some reason, because he knew that she wouldn't just open it just because she was curious. She was smarter than that. So he did all this work to keep it from her. That means it was really something that could shatter her, because she says that empaths are more fragile. So, if Sophie, being the way Sophie is, in the next book doesn't already, it's not going to. She's not letting it shatter her. Whatever's in that catch is going to.
Maybe.
And so, she's...
I'm going to go home and write a theory.
And then Kenrick...
I need to bring your Unlocked.
This is the next important part of it. I'm sorry for dragging you into this, Aura. He dropped his gaze toward the ground. I tried to avoid it, but I didn't know who else to trust. Orly's protection reached for his hands. If you really trust me, tell me what's going on. For a second, he looked tempted, but he shook his head. I can't, and I promise I'm doing you a favor by keeping you in the dark. I'm counting down the days till I can have the washers clean this mess out of my brain. I can tell. Orly closed her eyes in the memory. I feel so much fear and frustration, and is that disgust? Kenrick pulled his hands away. Let's just say that sometimes I'm not particularly proud to call myself a counselor. It's that bad? She whispered. He looked pale and he nodded. Some days I dream about walking away. The next part isn't important to the current theory, so I must stop there.
Disgust. Because he did something, or because of what he found?
Because of what he found out the elves are capable of.
Okay, yeah.
Like, they aren't supposed to be capable of that sort of...
Because they're the better awful people. Yeah.
Even just their guilt. How do they not feel that? And Sophie doubting Kenrick more than she needs to. There was something else that he said, or maybe it was Orly. She said at some point that he was always completely calm and confident. Think about in Everblaze when Sophie accidentally inflicts too much happiness on Bront and Bront goes hysterical. Whenever you reread that, pay attention to how calm and gentle Kenrick is. He's just like Bront's just hysterically dying on the floor. Sophie's panicking, and Kenrick's like, it's okay, Sophie. Whatever's going on, I know that you have the power within you to fix it. So just be calm. Focus on how do you normally inflict. So he had already been instructing her the entire time because Bront refused to teach. She's like, it's okay. Whatever it is, you've got the power within you to fix it. And she's like, how do you know? And he's like, because this is what you're meant to do. He's like, he's so just...
Kenrick's so interesting.
I miss him. I reread Everblaze and I was like, oh no. I only read the first half, but
Okay.
And then, yeah, like what you said. Okay. One other thing it says is, she still had to wonder if there had been a lot more to Kenrick than she'd originally realized. And she means it in like a doubting way, but I think that there is more to him, but I don't think he's evil. He's not evil. That's not true. We've returned. Mm-hmm. Mostly everything else has nothing else to do with Kenrick, except that Orly's like, as soon as the memory ends, she's like, well, I guess that the rest of the things we're looking for must be in Kenrick's catch.
Yeah.
And Sophie's like,
I gotta go home and do some research. Mm-hmm. Remind me to.
I can help you with research too.
Yeah, tell me. And we work really well over text figuring this out. Mm-hmm. So make sure I do some research because I want to research myths about Elysian. Mm-hmm. And I want to look at the Never Seen's motivations because I feel like we can figure out exactly their motivation.
Mm-hmm. I've been taking a lot of notes while reading through the first few books on their motivation.
Yeah. Okay. So our next...
Well, it was related, all that related to something on 355, I believe. It says, like, the council just ruled it as a human arsonist and when the weird fluorescent yellow flames appeared. Mm-hmm. And they refused to investigate.
I wonder if someone's covering... I wonder if Tarek's covering for them.
Here's the thing. The council, whenever you hear their official opinion on something, that does not mean that all 12 of them agreed on it. It only takes a majority vote most of the time. Sometimes it takes, like 3/4 or something. Usually it's just a majority. So, probably most of the counselors were just like, oh, the elves aren't capable of that. And Kenrick's there like, yes, they are.
I wonder if Tarek's evil, he could be covering. Mm-hmm. If anyone on the council is evil, they could be covering too.
Yeah. And Orly wouldn't have wanted to believe that anyone was capable of it, and she didn't know that at that point. Mm-hmm. Because, like she said, that in the beginning of, like, before she sees the scene in Unlock, she's like, Kenrick always kept me out of this stuff. Oh, this is so much like him.
I'm disappointed in you. You should have known.
Bron may have, though. But that would still just be 2 against 10.
Yeah.
Bron seemed pretty...
Yeah, but then he totally hated Sophie.
Yeah, but he also didn't like the Never Seen. He didn't like the Black Swan. He didn't like anyone who challenged him.
Yeah, that's true.
So he was at least consistent in that, I guess. My next note is on 359. Do you have anything before that?
359.
I think you had 361.
Did I? Oh, yeah, I did.
All right, so 359 is, what did I say? Oh, Alden and Kenrick being friends. Bronte doesn't trust Alden, which I, on my alternate point of view at the beginning of this, actually added in, like, because whenever, think about the 3 counselors first get there and Alden sort of greets them, I made it, like, I loved, like, making Alden and Kenrick sort of talk to each other, or Bronte's just like, oh, I can't believe you searched for this person whenever it was the council specifically forbade you to go to the Forbidden Cities because we declared that the Moonlark doesn't exist, and Orly's just being silent, and Kenrick's like, well, Bronte. Anyway, where is it? Oh, right, what did that have to do with, oh, right, Sophie, 389, oh, 389, I'm 359. 389? Oh, okay. 359 is not Alden and Kenrick being friends. That's a different note. Sorry, guys. We'll get to that, I promise. 359 is And So We Begin. Another And So We Begin. The Everblaze. Sophie said, not if it's Everblaze.
Did we do the same note for the sister thing? Sorry, I just glanced over.
Hey,
we literally did the same thing for 39, where it says sister and, like, S, like, lowercase and capital letters. We wrote the same note. That's exactly. Awesome. It just says sister, where Fitz is calling Sophie his sister. And it's like capital S, lowercase I, capital S, lowercase T, so on. Anyway.
Yep.
Sister?
359. That was just And So We Begin. And So We Begin is like our theme thing. So, not if it's Everblaze. Alden was on his feet before she could react. He held her shoulders, forcing her to look at him. How do you know that word? What Fenton says right whenever he sparks the Everblaze is And So We Begin, so it just seemed to fit there because, like, Everblaze. Anyway, 361 I have a note too. I want to see. Mine is, I don't love the way Alden says that. Oh, Sildrine, Alden said quietly.
361. Oh, is actually...
Yeah, we both have a note on there.
It's actually, I couldn't find the page number for that one. But continue,
so it's different. Sildrine, Alden said quietly, moonlarks lay their eggs in the ocean and let the tide carry them away. The babies hatch alone and must learn to survive without family. That's what the Black Swan called you, Project Moonlark. I said, I don't love the way he said that.
For real.
Without family, without friends, all alone.
That's not the Black Swan's explanation.
I'm like, Alden, trust me, they're helping.
Oh, the series is so good. Okay. 361 isn't really 361, but you know where Iggy tears up the note?
Yeah. Oh,
I think he eats something else. I said, this is why I'm super anxious. He's going to eat Keith's letter. I'm like, really, Keith?
Oh, no.
Really?
Why would Shannon...
Right? Huh?
Keith put him back in the cage, right? In his cage?
I think so.
Because he died Iggy, didn't he?
So, yeah, he did. But he also told Iggy... He left it by Iggy's cage and said, Iggy, you better not eat this. Or something like that. And left it open for Shannon to have him rip it up. And so I'm really worried...
I'm just casually
that Shannon left that just in case she needed to have Sophie not read it. I'm like, really, you had to give me that anxiety that he's gonna...
Extra murder.
She's never gonna get to read the note. What?
Instead, he squared his shoulders and first, this is in Unlocked, whenever Keith is in Sophie's room and he hears a noise behind him. Keith turns around to see Sophie's adoptive father who looked... extra murdery. What are you doing in my house, in my daughter's room, without permission? It's so my dad. Oh my goodness. Grady demanded, which made it pretty clear the conversation was not going to go well.
It actually did go well.
Oh no, it did.
Okay, but it's right before Grady comes in.
Oh right, he puts it beside him. Give this little drinky drink for me, and then. Ooh, it's working. What did I tell you? He's just talking to the end. I know. Oh, he's so tired of not talking. If you chew this, he warned, showing Iggy the crinkled envelope, I will shave you bald. Do you hear me? Iggy burped in his face. I'll take that as a yes, but just to be extra safe, he slid the cage on top of the letter to weigh it down.
Okay, good. But I picture it like this. Like he just does it like this and puts it slightly over it. I'm worried. Anyway. Iggy can pull that out from under there. Anyway.
And then 377 is my next one. Is that after some of yours?
No, I don't have one until 385, and they're really boring.
All right, 377.
We gotta speed this up, as usual. We're almost done.
We're at a good time, I think. She imagined how much feel for Grady and Adeline, how much they miss Jolie, how lonely it must be to live in a world where no one else really understood what they'd lost. That's just like the people who have people who die. So Grady and Adeline with Jolie, obviously Orly with Kenrick, and all those other people. Like Sophie said there are only like 100 Wonderlings, and there's like millions of elves. It just must be so lonely. Like you're sad. Like but in the human world, like whenever you're sad, other people are really sympathetic. They're like, I'm so sorry about your loss. And the elven world is like, are you just being so sad? Ew. It's just gotta be so lonely.
For real.
And then 379, Morella's right. What did she say? Sophie stared at the glowing metal bird, and somehow she knew it was made of luminite. Her hands shook as she folded up the note. She got the note that said, you have to stop this from the firestorm. You okay? Morella asked. You look really pale. Sophie clutched her chest, taking deep breaths to calm her pounding heart. Fine. Morella laughed. You might be the worst liar ever. And so it begins again, or continues. 384, sister.
Sister.
Oh man, now I have to read the actual quote. Of course I don't mind. You're already like my little sister. This would just make it official. Oh,
yeah, I have the same note, but for the, I think I said it in the other episode.
Oh, yeah. I think we both said it then, too. It's just like, sister.
Sister.
Okay, to be fair, it says that he didn't like her until, this is the part we didn't say in the other episode. It says he didn't like her until never seen. But this is so... Like Shannon, you really put that in there. Oh, man. Anyway, do you have any more before...
385.
I have one in 389, so go ahead. Okay. My 389 is Alden and Kenrick being friends, guys.
So she's talking about... Okay. Finally, Alden cleared his throat. Can I see the necklace they gave you? Talking about the one she thought was from Keith. Her shoulders slumped. I didn't bring it. Why not? I was afraid it might be a bug. An insect? Oh, sorry. That's what humans call tiny recorded recording devices. I didn't want to bring it into your house in case it was a way to spy on us. Well, it's registry pendants are not bugs. Anyway, Alden smiled. Human technology. Her face burned. So he's making fun of human technology being a bug, right? So I wrote down, Alden scoffs at a bug. 4 books later, Keith's imparter is bugged.
Oh, that's true.
It's like human technology. And then they literally...
An offense.
Everything is bugged later.
All right, my next one is, you don't have anything before 389?
No.
Cool. 389. Oh, they're like, they gave you, this is a little bit before. They gave you quintessence and an illegal leaping crystal. Now they're trying to get you to make a very serious charge against a former counselor without evidence.
Without evidence?
Alan, trust me, just talk to your best friend. There's some evidence. Anyway, and then continuing, he's like, oh, I'm so sorry that you have to deal with this, Sophie. I'm sorry about Grady and Adeline. I thought it might help them to have a daughter to raise again. Obviously, I was wrong. Della and I would love to have you live with us. I'm still getting everything approved by the council, but Kenrick is confident he can overrule Braun's objection. Now, this is kind of funny, because Kenrick is like, yeah, I can get Alden to adopt Sophie, yeah. Yeah, that would be great for Sophie, especially since Grady and Adeline are so... Meanwhile, Orly the whole time has been like, Grady and Adeline need someone. And so... They're like,
and Kenrick's like my buddy.
It's probably the only thing they ever worked against each other on, but after what happened with Grady and Adeline and they canceled the adoption, Orly was probably like, oh no, I did something wrong. Yeah, it's fine. Just whatever Kenrick says, just go with it.
Yeah.
And then that guilt. Ugh. I bet he talked her out of so much guilt, like without her realizing what he was doing, because he knew that she was part of Project Moonlight, but she didn't know that he knew. And he wanted to help her because he realized that she would have been guilty, especially at the end here, whenever they think Sophie's dead. She's probably like, full. The
only weird thing I can think of is if he wiped that from his mind, but I don't think he would do that. No, he wouldn't.
He didn't. It's so obvious. That's why he's so protective of Sophie and Everblaze, and he takes notes for Grady. Yeah. He's definitely nice.
Kenrick's like this little guardian angel.
I know. And so at the end of this book, you can just imagine, like, before Sophie comes back, and it said Sophie was gone for like 2 weeks. There's plenty of time for someone's mind to break, as is evidenced by Alden's mind breaking in approximately a week at the beginning of Everblaze exile. And all the signs are there, by the way. I just reread Exile, and I have so many notes. I'm like, this happened.
Wait, who's
freaking out? What happened?
Huh?
The signs of mind breaking.
Well, who are you talking about?
Orly and Alden. All the same signs. Every single thing that happens in Exile, I have a note on. I'm like, this has happened. So, basically all that's left is the last event, which is going to be the catch. But, what was I saying? Oh, right. He's like, at the end of the book, probably Kenrick was trying to be like, oh, yeah, trying to let Orly not feel guilty. It's not your fault. And she's like, no, it is.
I have a question about the Orly's mind breaking thing. What's she guilty over?
Okay, so she blames herself for a lot of stuff.
Yeah, but what's the thing that the catch has to do with? Why would the catch break her?
Well, he wanted to keep Elysian from her, which meant that clearly it was something that could shatter her. So realizing that the Elven Line, or just like the Elven population in general, because she tries to think the best of most people. So realizing that like people are capable of that could definitely be something that could make her, whatever it is, because Kenrick. It needs to be personal. It's something. Yeah. It's something. It shook Kenrick. It actually made him.
But I don't know if it's gonna make her shatter. If the catch is gonna be that, because I don't think it's personal enough.
I wonder if she did something by accident.
Yeah, that's the only thing I can think of. That would be really strong. If she shatters just because of the whole world, then I'm gonna be mad. It needs to be stronger than that. But I'm not saying the catch can't shatter her. I'm just saying I'd be kind of mad. But you might be right. It might be personal.
No, I'm thinking now because that second memory, the not questioning Fenton one.
Or he could just be trying to keep her out of the Elysian thing to keep her out of danger.
That was something different. No, because she's sitting in her castle. She didn't even do anything. She hadn't gone anywhere. Whatever it was, it had been something normal. And she was at home. And he erased her mind for some reason. There was someone else. There was someone else there. Something happened. Yeah, she did something.
Okay, let's move on and text about this later.
Sophie's gonna be really mad about it, too. I don't know.
Riley did something?
She had to have. Unless Kendrick did something, but I don't think he did. He wouldn't. Something happened.
That's the only way it's going to shatter her if it's her fault.
He took it from her to protect her. Why would he keep it then? I don't know. Something happened.
There's some...
I've got a bad feeling about that now that you said that. Yeah, it makes sense.
If Shannon's writing her to shatter her, it has to be something that is her fault.
I mean, right now, she's guilty about Prentice. She's guilty about
Remember
Riley.
The character stuff we were talking about last
She's guilty about Kendrick. Yeah. She's guilty about Sophie.
But there's... Yeah, there has to be something she did.
Something else?
Yeah.
Other than everything else she already blames herself for, so...
It could be an amplification of any of those. But...
Seeing Kendrick alive is probably not helping.
Like, okay. I want to think about this too now. Okay, but we gotta
get through this. Yeah, we'll get back to that.
Yeah, we'll come back to it. Not in this episode, obviously.
Yeah.
But I might post some of these theories and see what people think.
Yeah. So on 389, anyway, Kendrick is confident he can overrule Bronte's objection. Why does Bronte object? Half a smile crept from the corner of his mouth. He doesn't trust me, and he's never trusted you given your past. It's because Orly talked him into not trusting Alden, because she's like, Alden's probably overstepping his authority.
Wait, say it again. Huh?
So he's like, why does Bronte object for you guys to go
okay.
And Alden's like, he doesn't trust me. Mm-hmm. That's because Orly literally came to Bronte. She said that she did this verbatim. She's like, all I did was suggest that Alden was overstepping his authority, which he was.
And Bronte was like, no.
And so, yeah, then he just never trusted Alden or Sophie ever again, which is probably not what Orly meant, but, it protected Sophie for the time being, so. He said he's never trusted you, given your past, so the idea of us living together, why doesn't he trust you? Probably because my father's always off chasing phantom rebels, Alvar said from the doorway. Alvar's so suspicious, oh my goodness. And then, that was my note on here, 390. Alvar is so sus. Mm-hmm. Do you have anything before 395?
Nope, not till 414.
414.
I barely have any notes left.
So 395, yes, it was easy to hate Grady for what he was doing, but it was also hard. She really did love Grady and Adeline, and she thought they loved her. Her eyes blurred with tears as she tore off the brown paper, unwrapping a silver orb in a note. So she can't not love them.
Somehow she can for a rally.
It makes, it's because she's a stubborn little. Anyway, because she determined beforehand she wouldn't, and then I don't understand. I legitimately don't understand what Sophie's mad about. Like what Orly said, I don't know.
I've got to read it. I need to read it again.
I don't know what you want me to say. That's something that Orly was like. I don't know what you want. But anyway, the can't not remind me of the whole theory we were having, because Orly obviously is trying to figure it all out, but the same problem that I'm having, she's probably having, or will have in the next book.
In case you haven't heard, we said that sometimes we feel like we can't not
do something. We can't not trust somebody. For me, at least, like, trying to figure out what's going on with Kenrick, and this is going to probably play into Orly's mind in the next book, I cannot trust him. I can't not think that he's, working for the good, whatever the good thing would be. I can't not believe that he's not on the Never Seen. So anyway, once I've given some of my trust, it's really, really hard. Like, if they break it, I'll take it away easily, but it's also, hard to fully take it away. Anyway, 397... Oh, yes. Silence of Portrait watching from afar. For now, she would watch her... she's watching her family on the spy ball. For now, she would stay with him as a silent supporter, watching from afar.
Is that verbatim?
Silent supporter, watching from afar.
Is that verbatim?
Verbatim from what?
From O'Reilly?
Oh, O'Reilly never said it, but it would verbatim fit.
Are you sure she never said it, or no one ever said it? Did Forkle say it? I don't know. But that's, wow, yeah.
Sophie, you're watching your parents as a silent supporter from afar, huh? How come you always ignore
I wonder
them?
if O'Reilly has a spy ball. Headcanon.
She does. Oh.
Okay, move. We gotta go fast.
All I'm saying is, you've always ignored them, Sophie, haven't you? You've done everything you can to lie to them and ignore them and... My sarcasm. Okay, 406, you're on 414,
okay.
right?
Yeah.
Elwyn. So this is, for those of you who still believe in the Elwyn theory over the Tiergan theory, whenever everyone gets mad at her, so Grady and Adeline are mad at her, Alden and Elwyn came inside. So this is right after they got back from bottling the Everblaze. Sophie and Gildy did. So Grady and Adeline are super mad. Alden's super mad. You promised, Alden said, his voice angrier than she'd ever heard. Just this morning, you promised, like, not to investigate. He's like, well, Braun's calling for a tribunal. Elwyn cleared his throat. Like, everyone's just mad at her, and there's just awkward silence, and Elwyn's like, let's treat those burns. I said, Elwyn leaving, like, he left, like, shortly after, yeah. Literally on the next page, he's like, that should take care, but if you need anything else, you know where to find me. He gave Sophie a look that seemed to say, hang in there. Then he glittered away. Then it goes back to Alden and Grady and Adeline being mad. I think it's mainly just Alden. But I said, Elwyn leaving, like, family debates aren't my area of expertise.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is what Orly said whenever Grady and Adeline got really mad at Sophie. It was so funny. The irony. I told Callie about that. I was like, yeah, so she says family debates are my area of expertise. And Callie goes, about Sophie. I was like, yeah.
Yep.
410. I've mentioned this before. I don't know if it's a spoiler or if I just forgot to say it. It said, Adeline choked out something unintelligible. It might have been her graying, but it was hard to tell. She turned and fled before anyone could ask her. I said... It
might have been her...
Adeline made a strangled sound.
It might have been...
Why is it so funny? No, that's really what it is.
Oh.
Just Adeline made a strangled sound. Because, like, Sophie says, I understand if you want to take back your adoption offer. Just, like, the response is... Like, what kind of answer? That's not... I don't know. That just sounds so... 406, no, that would be... 413 is my next one. Stina reminds me of Gethin in Flashback, just, like, talking, like, logicking. Stina giggled. It's really quite funny. Biana was forced to be friends with you. Her dad wanted to keep a closer watch on the freaky human girl who practically killed his son in a splotching match, so he ordered Biana to be your friend so you'd come around their house.
My only note here is that Alden was meddling even back in book 1.
But let me... Yep, that's all begins.
Yep, it's so consistent.
Keith's so convinced that Fitz didn't do that. Listen, Keith's like, hey, what happened? Fitz, I'm feeling pretty serious rage. It's probably not a good idea to annoy her. And Sophie's like, Fitz, stop pretending you care. I know your dad put you up to it. And Keith's like, that's crazy. And he looked at Fitz to back him up. Fitz looked away, his whole body rigid. What did Biana tell you? So Keith is like,
my best friend, no.
My best friend would never do that. He's really friends with you.
Because literally Keith was just friends with Sophie because he thought she was cool the whole time while Fitz and Biana were forced to.
So he was like, no, they really want to be your friend. And
yeah, he's like, doesn't everybody?
And Fitz is like,
oh, I just thought about that though. Keith had literally no pressure. Well, his mom wanted him to be friends with Sophie, right? All these moms.
Well, probably his dad too. His dad was like, be a good influence on you. He said that in Everblaze. Keith did. He's like, yeah, my dad says that you're a good influence.
But Keith just like met her and was like, oh, you.
Yeah.
Now we're friends.
You must be lost.
While Fitz and Biana were pushed.
Oh yeah. This. It said this is 417. Do you have anything else before then?
Nope.
It said a pair of arms pulled her to her feet and smothered her scream with a meaty hand.
Meaty hand. Didn't we mention this last time?
Yes, but I couldn't say who it was or who any of the captures were. We know basically that the only ones there were Brant, Gethin, and Alvar, probably. Who on earth is meaty?
What does that even mean?
Meaty, like chunky, like big, like a big...
Define meaty. She's not gonna work, is she? Oh, come on, Siri, letting me down.
Oh my goodness. Like a big, chunky, like beefy hand.
Interesting.
A meaty hand.
Who's been doing hand workouts?
Oh my goodness.
Like a buff hand.
Probably Alvar, if we're honest.
It does say he goes to the gym every day.
Oh my goodness. He goes to
or he looks like it.
Treadmill.
steroids.
Elven steroids. It's like
all these drugs.
It's like breathable air.
Inside joke from the other one, sorry. Anyway.
Where were we? Okay, 419. They were planning on staging a suicide. Actually, they said on, they believe the tidal wave, staging a suicide would have been better, someone else hissed. Mm-hmm. Can you imagine? Okay, so you're probably going to think of this from, like, other characters' points of view, but again, I'm still, like, concerned about Orly during this few weeks. If, like, a capture is bad enough, because, like, you know, you're just nervous that if she's going to be alive, or they thought that she was dead. Mm-hmm. Imagine if it had been a staged suicide. I mean, Grady and Adeline.
Oh, for real?
Would have been distraught.
That would be so
But Orly would have been like,
Keith.
Should I have,
all of them.
Is it my fault because I ignored her? Like, should I have said something?
Should I have just raised her? Bianna and Fitz would have blamed themselves.
Orly was the one who placed her with Grady and Adeline. Well, she saw things go down.
But Bianna and Fitz, they had that whole thing where Alden would have blamed himself shattered. Mm-hmm. Because, and then Fitz and Bianna too.
Orly would have shattered.
Okay, listen, I'm talking about other people.
Adeline would have shattered.
Yeah, but listen.
Adeline,
listen.
Should I say my controversial thing about Adeline here, or should I wait for book 2?
Book 2, because I don't even know what it is. Okay, what I'm trying to say is, Alden and Fitz. That was right after the Fitz and Bianna thing, where she found out that they had been forced to be friends with her. Mm-hmm. So that would have had Fitz and Bianna blaming themselves. Alden blaming himself for making Bianna do that. Dex would have just been sad, I guess. Wait, was Dex?
Dex would have been sad. He would have just gone into depression. He didn't have many other friends.
But was Dex? Did Dex make her mad at all?
Oh, Dex didn't do anything. He actually.
No, because he was coming to say sorry to her for something.
Right. If he had come there after she left, let's say that he had come there and then Everseen had already taken her. Mm-hmm. It's like, Grady and Adeline, where are they? And they're like, oh, I don't know.
Oh yeah, I forgot.
And they staged
he was
a suicide.
There. Yeah, they would have staged a double. That would have been suspect.
Like no.
Oh,
they said they couldn't stage it because Dex was there. So let's say Dex arrived 10 minutes later. Mm-hmm. Sophie was already gone. The suicide was staged. Dex discovered it.
Yeah.
He would have been sad, but it wasn't his fault. I don't think he would have.
I don't think it wasn't his.
He wouldn't have shattered.
Yeah.
Keith
wouldn't have shattered.
Keith would have been depressed.
Oh, yeah, but
Dex would have been depressed. Morella would have been in shock.
Uh-huh. This is so dark. We should probably move on.
Yeah.
But Stina would blame herself too because she was the one who showed.
Stina, she didn't care.
No, but the Bianna.
She wouldn't be happy, but she wouldn't be happy. She'd be sad.
Yeah, but no, it was okay. I'm thinking about whose fault it was that Sophie was sad in the cave. It was mainly Grady and Adeline's. It was also Alden's. There were Fitz and Bianna and Stina. So we potentially could have all.
Sorry about that. The microphone's cut out because my computer doesn't like to work properly. Oh right. So my next one was 420. Gethin's a washer, which I didn't realize before.
Mm-hmm. And we were joking about how everybody's a washer now, apparently.
Right. They're either washers or keepers. Mm-hmm. It's as if there's no other job for telepaths, which I hope there is another job or some other jobs, because there's like
Council
27
leader?
in the
27
council spokesman. There's like 27 telepaths that we know, and we don't know that many of any other talent.
Yeah.
Okay, it's your turn. You have a bunch. I know.
Okay. So I said, wait, does that line, impenetrable little brain, get quoted again later? So Gethin says something. Do you know where it is?
Maybe.
It's on 438.
I think it's before that. It's like, what are you hiding in that impenetrable mind of yours? Yeah,
and I was like, does that get quoted again later? Yeah, so I think it does. And then 427, where Forkle, this is actually 427.
Oh, so the line that gets quoted again, or like does it get quoted again? It sounds like it does. Well, it's Gethin, obviously, because the telepath is the one saying that, and we know that now the telepath is Gethin. So he says to Orly later, wouldn't it be ironic if I cut off your pretty head?
We were saying Gethin really likes adjectives. He's like, pretty little brain, impenetrable little mind of yours.
Pretty little brain.
No, it's the other way around. Pretty little head. Pretty little brain.
Anyway, and then both times they interview Sophie. One time it's Keith and Forkle, and then one time it's Orly and Forkle. Mm-hmm. He's like, oh, I bet Sophie could read my mind with her impenetrable mind and all her secrets. Mm-hmm. And both times, Keith and Forkle / Orly and Forkle are like, no, don't you dare read his mind. Sorry. Okay, continuing.
427 is where Forkle says, She asks Forkle why he's doing it. That's 327. 427. Why are you helping me? It's my job. His job? She'd been hoping it was someone who cared, but she wasn't in a position to complain. And I was saying, I wrote down, that seems out of character for Forkle, to be honest, but it might just be because I don't read his transition from grumpy to caring much.
And I feel like, because there's two Forkles, that this is the INTJ Forkle. The other one's the INFP Forkle. He's really caring and, like, feelings, but this one's just, like, logic. It's my job.
Yeah. And I'm not convinced. She's going to have to convince me about that.
As we read more of the
think
series,
they're nearly the same person.
I'm not convinced that they are.
We'll see.
And you said this is, like,
nature versus nurture. Because she said even though they have the same memories,
that doesn't mean they have the same personality.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we'll find out.
And then another, I think.
I'll just skip that one. Oh, 454. Here we go. This is where Keith is sad, which we find out. I'll get to that. Okay. All right, enough girly drama, Keith said, shoving his way in. This is right after Sophie got back, and he's talking about how they're talking about how sad they were. I was part of the rescue too, remember? I'm the one who knew the tree you told Fitz about was the Four Seasons tree, so if it weren't for me. He faltered as he seemed to realize he was talking about her dying.
Oh, I remember. Okay, sorry, finish.
What?
I remember there's a couple of the other times he's like that. So after, like, Sophie inflicts on Brian, he's like, I gotta be there, and the next time you almost kill a counselor. And then after Kenrick died at his funeral, he was like, I told you to let me be there. And then he stopped and he's like, I can't joke about this.
Yeah.
Sorry, continue.
But anyway, I said compare it to Lodestar Keith because I was trying to say something that spoils our short story, but Jaycie wouldn't let me. Anyway, I was saying compare this to Lodestar Keith because we find out in Unlocked that if you read where he's talking about when Sophie goes missing in Lodestar and he thinks she's dead, it's similar to this, but their character development has grown so much more and he's devastated, like completely devastated, and then when he finds her, he's not like it's just he cares about her so much. And then we also even find out that he cares about her a lot more than is apparent here because Gisela doesn't she show a memory later of where Keith was crying? Oh, because she gave him she gave him sedatives and like drained his blood or something during that time.
My goodness, yeah.
I
remember something happening.
Because he was so depressed. And it's just that he tries to cover it up with humor, but he was actually...
He was very sad.
Sad. Okay. Anyway. Even back then.
My next one is on 470.
Mine is on 460.
Cool.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I need it.
Oh.
Okay. It's when Sophie wakes up to find Sandor. And it says, she woke up tangled in covers only to find an enormous gray beast towering over her. She screamed as black fear swirled through her mind and her whole body trembled. Stop, Sophie, Alden warned, shaking her shoulders. Stop, you're hurting him. His voice washed away the darkness and her vision cleared. The gray beast twisted in pain on the floor. Sandor won't hurt you, Alden promised. So here's what I'm asking. This is a plot hole because she inflicts isolated. She only inflicts on Sandor.
Not Alden?
No. You're not paying attention.
It's important, sorry.
Okay, pay attention, look.
I have two attentions, I told you this.
Not this time. Anyway, but yeah, so she inflicts on only Sandor. He's the only one writhing in pain. Maybe, and she's Alden's shaking her shoulders. Maybe
he just, like, walked in the room after Sophie started
I don't think that's how it works.
Well, like, okay, so if she's inflicting and he's not in the room, then he walks in and he's like, oh no, you're inflicting on him.
No, I don't think that's how it works. I think it's a plot hole. It's possible. I did think of that, but yeah.
It might be. But Shannon could explain it away.
She could explain it away. You're right.
We always try to go back on each other, like, well, yeah. Technically. It does sound like a plot hole. Yeah.
Okay, 463 is when they're talking about how they found, here it is. Alden's talking. When they found your pendants in the ocean, and there had clearly been a tidal wave at the cave, I just couldn't see how it could be anything other than a tragic accident. Do they have a hydrokinetic?
The Neversand?
There's no way. But I feel like that's a plot hole,
No,
too.
they do have a hydrokinetic.
They do?
It's mentioned in Everblaze whenever they do the light leaps with all the different unmapped stars. Then they never see him walk across the water toward them. And Mr. Forkle is there, and he's like, I knew they had a hydrokinetic on their side.
In where?
In Everblaze.
Oh.
They do the leaps. It's Sophie.
Who's the
Sandor.
hydrokinetic?
I don't think they ever found out.
No. It's not. It couldn't be. I've heard lots of theories about Lynn's mom.
Maybe.
Or her dad. No. Yeah, or her dad. Maybe one. That would be quite interesting. I doubt it, but that's also just a random possibility.
That's a good theory. Any others before 470?
Oh, and then on 464, she's asking about Prentice. It's like her thoughts flashed to Prentice. She didn't know what he looked like or even who he was, but he let his mind be broken to protect her and all of that. I forget about Prentice at this point. He's been dragged on so long. He was so important in the first few books, but I don't pay attention in the first. Haven't been paying attention in the first few books, so I forget about him.
Why you underestimate Kenrick?
Yep. And yeah, and then I had another note, but I don't understand what on earth I was trying to say there. 486 in the annotated edition. I don't know. I'll check when we get home.
All right. 470. Let's see. Humans. This is Alden talking to Sophie. Let's humans have those measures in place, the security cameras and detectives and police that Sophie was talking about, because conspiracies and arson and kidnapping are common. Those are unheard of here, or they used to be. He shook his head. For thousands of years, the council reigned supreme. They were the wisest, most talented members of our society, working together for the greater good. No one questioned their authority. But the past few decades have changed everything. Why? Humans. They've developed weapons powerful enough to destroy the planet. So about 60 years ago, a measure was brought before the council to create a new sanctuary. 60 years ago, a measure was brought before the council to create a new sanctuary. That's why Kenrick's still working on it. Especially for humans, to relocate them for the good of the earth and their own safety. It had a lot of support. Some very influential people have grown tired of hiding in the shadows while humans run amok throughout the globe. But the council rejected it, refusing to imprison an intelligent species. For the record, I agree with their decision. So, the idea of it, obviously, like, Alden knows. So, obviously, people still know that the human sanctuary was, like, an idea. But the people who actually were like, okay, we're going to do it, those are the ones probably that Kenrick has to try to find and, like, take away that, okay, I'm going to do it.
Who are they?
Vinton is one.
Yeah.
Who knows who all of them are? That's probably why he was like, this is just a mess, and I'm tired of it.
There's something there. I don't know what yet.
And then the supporters of the initiative were angry with the council. Some called for members to resign, especially Braun, since he was the most outspoken against the idea. And there were threats to go ahead with the plan anyway. The council didn't take the threats seriously, but they forbade human contact of any kind and recruited telepaths like myself to keep our minds open for suspicious activity. All talk of rebellion vanished, and the council was satisfied. Crisis solved. So that rebellion that the telepaths are supposed to keep their minds open for, that must be what the mess is that's not contained.
Let me see.
Because Kenrick said it, thankfully the rebellion's a whole lot more contained than I realized.
The council didn't take these threats seriously, but they forbade human contact of any kind. Recruited telepaths like myself. Who's talking here?
Alden.
Telepaths like myself, and they were friends, to keep our minds open for suspicious activity. All talk of rebellion vanished, and the council was satisfied. It just went underground. Oh, yeah, because then he says, I had always suspected the rebels moved underground, though I never would have guessed there was more than one group. I'm afraid I've been almost as blind as the council.
Yeah. So that's it. We kind of, it could be more, and I'm still going to do more research, but that's a good answer for now for what is it, the mess that was more contained than he realized. Because he probably was like, oh no, there's still rebellion. Okay, it's still more contained than I realized. It's good.
But obviously they don't know. I wonder if the people who are outspoken for containing it, if they kept their identity secret. It seems like that should be more important and brought up more. But I guess you're forbidden to talk about it, maybe?
Talk about what? I'm sorry.
The rebellion, I guess. I don't know. Nobody brings that up, but it's probably going to come up in the next book.
There's something else he said. None of the council believed you existed. None of the council.
None of them. Not a single one or two.
Counselor. Not one or two. You said that. Genius. And then one other thing I said that did get deleted in the other version. Mm-hmm. So Sophie, whenever she has to be in front of the council, Emery's like, Miss Foster, we're glad you're alive. And Sophie's like, thank you. And he's like, well, that being said, today you stand before us accused of very serious charges. What have you to say in your defense? It said, she'd spent all night drafting the perfect apology for her actions, but she'd thrown it away before leaving Everglen. She wasn't sorry for what she'd done, and she wouldn't pretend otherwise. Orly would know she was lying anyway. Orly, again, wouldn't call you out, but I'm going to fast forward a little bit to her saying, her talking to the council. She said, I'm sorry if that's a crime. I won't argue if you punish me for my choice, but I firmly believe it was the right decision. I'd rather be punished for making the right decision than live with the guilt of making the wrong one for the rest of my life. Especially the sentence, I won't argue if you punish me for my choice, but I firmly believe it was the right decision. Mm-hmm. Orly could say that verbatim, and it would be true. Yeah. And I just like that. And that's also, you said, the original recording, that's also something Tyrion would say. Mm-hmm. Whenever he's like, I'm resigning from the nobility, and I know I'm making the right decision. Tyrion's got to be FI, though. High FI. I can see that in him. Mm-hmm. He's very emotional. Yeah. But anyway, that was my last note. Do you have more?
Nope. We're all good.
Cool. Yeah. That was a good... Wait, I want to see what else is at the end. I don't know. The last line... I feel like we should end it. I know, Keith agreed. You save a girl's life one day, and the next day she trades you away like a paddle spin. I think we said that in the non-spoiler version, but it's funny. Mm-hmm. The last line is Sophie Foster's going home. I actually, at one point, had them all memorized, so the last lines. I didn't have all the prefaces memorized, but I could recite the Everblaze preface.
Oh my goodness.
And the part of the Lodestar
preface. I love the prefaces.
The Everblaze one is
They're like
cool.
Teasers.
The Lodestar one is, I think, the coolest one. Because this is what they want. I loved that anyways. Yeah, that was the coolest one. Anyway, yes, thank you
I don't remember a lot of them. I need to reread them all.
The prefaces?
Yeah.
I couldn't remember the flashback one. I still can't.
Shanna should just drop the prefaces of the books.
Like, before. I thought you were saying, like, stop writing them. I was like, no! No!
I mean, like, drop them before she releases them.
Yeah, whenever they make the Keeper movie, if there's not a trailer that's literally just the preface, I'm going to be very upset. I'm going to make one. I will.
Cool.
Anyway, is that everything?
I think so. Okay. All good.
Thank you guys for listening. Hopefully you enjoyed. And we don't have time to record anymore. Thank you for listening to the Forbidden Cities podcast. Leave us a review and tell a friend about the podcast if you liked us. Email us with comments and episode suggestions at theforbiddencitiespodcast@gmail.com. And to follow us on Instagram, just search @Forbidden Cities Podcast.